to the Cooler Women's Wellness Tribe, the podcast. Get comfortable or get your walking shoes on and let's get going. Hello, and welcome to another episode. And I have another amazing guest for you all today. So I have Michelle, and she is Reiki practitioner and a soul purpose coach, and she'll go into that in more detail. And just to add, she is my own Reiki practitioner, so I can vouch for her magic energy healing hands. So thank you, Michelle, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. So good to be here. Very excited.
Welcome. I know, me too. I think, and before we, when we were chatting before, so I was just like, right, we'll just talk, because when we chat,
we go on.
We go on, and it's definitely every time we have a chat, definitely could be a podcast episode. So we're just going to go with the flow today. Obviously, share lots with you, and hopefully you'll learn something, but at the same time, you know, at the end of this podcast, have a different outlook on certain things, maybe your soul purpose, and Michelle's going to talk all about that. So before we get started, share my story, your story. You share my story if you want.
I can share your story. I know your story.
Share your story with the listeners. So your background and how you came here today.
Okay, amazing. So where do we start? You know, with the whole journey, I feel like it goes up and down, up and down. I think that's how any journey really starts. But for me, if I start with my Reiki journey, I really started, it was probably 2017, where I became interested in alternative healing and holistic healing. And without sounding too basic, it basically started from heartbreak. And I really think that's how a lot of people start their self-healing and, you know, their self-journey, is all through some kind of trauma or heartbreak. And it really was, for me, this was like the biggest thing. And it was a very traumatic experience for me going through this heartbreak. And I actually found a relationship coach. And this was, I was in Dubai, and I found this relationship coach, and she was amazing. So she really opened me up to different ways of healing yourself and empowering yourself. So when I came out of that coaching, I really felt like I had this transformation, and I started doing Reiki on myself. And that was when I did my training. I did it in Dubai. I started doing Reiki on myself. And that was when I became, I want to say, less codependent and more independent and more proud of who I am, how I can heal myself. Yeah. So that was really basically how it started. My heartbreak led me to learning how to heal myself. And Reiki really was the beginning of that journey for me. And it's beautiful because it's so gentle. And to this day, I want to say I use it every day on myself. Really is. And I don't know about you as well, because I know you do Reiki, but it really is such a gentle thing. You can tap into it at any moment. So this energy healing, I can say, has been life-changing. But also, I grew up with it because my mum is a Reiki master. And so she was practicing on me, she was practicing on my brother. So it wasn't so new to me. I just wasn't really resonating with it at the time. But I think it's when it takes a certain point, and for me, it was that heartbreak, that relationship that really changed my life. That was the breaking point for me. And I think this is what happens in coaching. And I don't know about you, but there really has to be a breaking point for someone to say, right, enough is enough. How do I change my life? I need dramatic change. So that was in a nutshell my story about how I got into Reiki healing. But then from that, I really think began the whole healing journey, self-development, discovery of soul purpose for me. And so I was working in Emirates. I was cabin crew for 7 years. 7 years. And as I was doing, I felt like when I was in that job, that was my purpose. I really felt like I was in flow. It was amazing. I was really living in my purpose. I want to say I was living in my dharma as well, but dharma is the same word as purpose, right? Soul purpose. I loved the travel. I loved meeting new people. It was the lifestyle. It was exciting. It was adventurous, and it was everything that I thought my soul wanted. And then I got to this point where I felt, I don't want to say bored, or it wasn't itchy feet. It was a really deep soul yearning for something else. And I don't know whether you can relate to this, because it was very difficult to explain to anyone else. Yeah. It wasn't like I knew that I had another career in mind, or I knew that I had to do something else. I knew that I just needed to change. So yeah. I stopped and I went home, and actually that was when the unraveling happened. And I want to say maybe that was a time of a dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Have you had a dark night of the soul as well?
I don't know, because I don't know the way that I see it. I don't know. I've had lots of times where I've come out the other side, and I think for me, the switch, I don't know if it was a dark night of the soul or just a dark time. This is why I get when my dad was sick, but that's when my own healing really started, and I did hit rock bottom. And when I think back now, I do feel like a completely different person. And during that time, and I don't know if it was my dark night of the soul or it was just a dark time. I don't know, because there was just a lot going on. But now I can see that was my switch. So before that, same as you, I'd come out of a relationship, moved to Dubai. My relationship before that was very toxic, and I'd started a little bit of self-healing then, but some of that self-healing involved alcohol and going out and partying and but then there was something in me that was like, you need something else. And then my dad got sick, and that's when I really started to, and I didn't even look for things just came into my path, that crystals, and with there's a lady selling crystals at the hospital when I was going to see my dad when he was in isolation, and I was just really drawn to the crystal in the pendulum, and I think that might have been like the start.
That was a fly, sorry.
It's okay. Using a pendulum, and then I looked into other things, and then it grew, and then I started yoga and meditation, and then I found you for Reiki. Like, I think that was a couple of years ago now. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. There was one question that I thought of as you were talking, but now I've forgotten it. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, that's it, sorry. So when you mentioned as well, so your dharma, soul purpose, and you thought when you were working with Emirates that was your dharma. So what switched when you were there? What were the feelings? So for anyone listening that might be thinking, am I in my soul purpose or am I not? Like, if they're questioning it, what were the feelings for you?
Yeah, I think it really was frustration. That's the feeling that I got. It was frustration. And I think it really depends on each person, how the feeling can arise for them. But the general sense of frustration, not being where you feel you're meant to be, and questioning, lots of questions, questioning myself every day. And I think I had lost the spark for that joy. And for me, when I talk about a lot in my soul purpose coaching is finding the joy and being in the joy, because life is about being in joy. Like you're meant to have fun in this lifetime. It's not meant to be painful or stressful or difficult. We're meant to be in flow. So when you are living your purpose, you are in flow.
Yeah.
Things come easily and effortlessly to you, right? Synchronicities come to you easily and effortlessly. Like you are aligned with your purpose, things just flow. And I get tingles talking about this now, right? So this is I hope this resonates, because this is how we know that we're in purpose. When you're not in purpose, things feel sticky.
Yeah.
They don't flow. You're met with not the right people, let's say. Things seem to be a bit stagnant energy. You're stuck. So when you're stuck, you need to move the energy, because everything is energy. We know this. So when you move the energy, it's almost like when you start to take action, you're letting the universe know, okay, I'm not happy in this situation. I need to start making steps forward to change this. Then the universe meets you halfway and it's like, okay, cool, I hear you. You're taking action. I hear you. So let's open some doors for you. And I think that's really what happened to me. But I wasn't ready for what was about to happen. So I dramatically changed my lifestyle. I went home, and home for me is Gibraltar. So I moved home with my parents. I didn't have a job for like 6 months. That was what I call the unraveling, and that was the dark night of the soul. And that was when things started to become everything just, can I just say it went to shit? Can I just say that?
Yeah, you can say, yeah.
It went to shit. So this is when I had another relationship, which was the most toxic relationship I have ever experienced. But I know now, coming out of that, I needed to go through this. It was all the lessons that I needed to learn that I didn't learn before. That it was all okay. I really feel like it was a very karmic relationship. So it was very transformational. I want to say transformational in the most positive way, but it was very toxic. It was very narcissistic. It was really all the things that I was probably avoiding the rest of my life, all happened in these 2 years. So it really was a dark night of the soul for me. It was rock bottom. And not to put, I'm not saying this lightly at all. I did not want to be here. Everything was grey. I didn't care about anyone or anything. I didn't want to be here. So I knew for me that was my rock bottom.
Yeah.
No one could help me. My family couldn't help me. My boyfriend couldn't help me. I just didn't want to talk or be around anyone. And that really was very difficult for me to experience, because I thought my whole life I was very positive. I had a really positive outlook on life. I had good friends. I had good family. Like nothing really was showing me that I had to have this difficult moment. And so I was fighting it. I felt the frustration again.
Yeah.
But it was almost day to night or night to day, where I woke up. It was almost like I woke up the next day and I'd had this epiphany, and I was like, right, okay. And I spoke to myself, and that whole night, I don't know whether you do this, but if I don't journal on a piece of paper, I get out my notes on my phone and I'm just tapping away at 3 a.m, and I'm just releasing all the thoughts I have in my head. Journaling is such a big help to me, and I'll talk about that a bit later.
Yeah.
But that really helped me through that time. And so when I journaled it all out, and the next day I woke up and I was like, right, we need to sort this out. We need to fix this. And so I had this clarity, and I don't know, it really was this epiphany. And I don't want to sound like all evangelical, but it really was this epiphany. I needed to focus. I needed to clarify everything. And that's when I started to work on myself in a much deeper way. I went deeper into my Reiki. So I did the Reiki 2 and 3 at this point, my levels. I went into deeper meditation. I read more self-help books. I was dabbling before, but here was where I really went into it. And then I started a psychology course, and I started doing this. So that was when, brick by brick, the foundations were being built again. So that was the beginning of 2020, just for context. It was like January time. So I can't even blame the pandemic for this. We didn't even know that that was existing. But bit by bit, that was when I sort of like built up all my self-development, my self-healing. And then the year later is when I did the course for the soul purpose coaching. And that was the building blocks as well, so putting it all together. And that was when I really found an excitement for life again, like wanting to help people, because I was helping myself and it was lighting me up. And I'd felt like I'd had another chance at life, really. I know it sounds dramatic, but I really felt like I had another chance at life. And then I wanted to help other people. And I'd had in my toolbox, I knew that Reiki was working, and I knew that this coaching was working. And so putting them together and creating like this, what I want to, it's a beautiful package to help other people find their purpose and heal, so they can be empowered. They can feel like they've got the tools themselves, because we do, you know, that we have it within us.
Yeah.
So that really inspired me to create this, help other people. And so in Dubai, I know that but this is international as well, worldwide, but really in Dubai, where a lot of the time us women, we can feel a bit alone. We want to find our community. We want to feel connected to each other. I think this is a really important time to tap into our inner goddesses, tap into ourselves. And our purpose really is always within us. And I think we're always finding it externally. We're asking people, and I've been guilty of this, I don't know about you, what is my purpose? And I'm asking tarot readers, and I'm asking other people, and I'm asking other coaches, I'm asking astrologers. And it's great, these are great tools to use, but I think also we need to remember that all the wisdom and all the knowledge that we have is actually always inside us. And it's using these tools to tap into ourselves and find this inner knowledge to find our purpose, really.
I totally resonate with all of that. And I think for people listening, if you feel that you're at this place of, like Michelle said, this frustration, because that's what I had when I was coming up to my last couple of years of teaching. And like I said, it all kind of happened around my dad being sick. That obviously that was frustrating in itself, because that was the first time that I'd ever experienced anything like that. I'd been very lucky to still have, my grandparents are still here now. And, you know, I'd been to a couple of funerals, but it was always somebody else's. So suddenly I was faced with this diagnosis of terminal cancer, and it was one of the people that I'm closest to the most. And at the same time, I was getting this frustration at work, and I was studying my master's because I felt like I needed to do something else. And I was like, right, I'm not feeling fulfilled being an English teacher. I've done management roles. So maybe I felt like I needed to help. I wanted to get closer to people. So I did my special educational needs. And I did that for 2 years, but then that still didn't fill this. I still wasn't satisfied. And like you said, I was then questioning. So once I'd got through the situation with my dad, and I think that was about a year all in all, and he's in remission now. He'll stay in remission. He'll never be clear, but it's in remission. And all of that sort of like opened up this world to me. And I was really bad, and I have a podcast on this. I really suffered with hypochondria. I had really bad health anxiety. And I know I've told you about this before, and it's on one of my podcasts. But to the point where it was getting in my way. And my dad being sick kind of in a weird way helped that. And it was kind of a mirror of, this is real and your thoughts are not. And there was lots of epiphanies like that of, oh my God, this is not about me. This is not about XYZ, and it really showed me my anxiety to, this is where you need to be now. Yeah, and I think that I'm going off on a tangent, but then my purpose at work just wasn't the same. And you mentioned questioning, and I feel like I spent the whole day why are we doing that? Why have we got to do that? Why has he just said that? Like, why? Like, I don't see the point. And I just felt like the only point was me being in front of the students, and everything else was pointless. And everything was just for the sake of it. And it was making me resent then going to work, because everything was like, what is the point? I don't see the point. I'm here to teach, and I'm going to go teach, and everything else can just take a back seat. So if there's anyone listening to this and you feel like you're at that point with something, then just have a sit down and have a little think and see. I don't know if the same as you, Reiki came into your life. I practice yoga because I had a slipped disc. I didn't go to yoga thinking I'm going to train to be a yoga teacher, then I'm going to do all of these other things and quit my job. I went because my back was hurting.
Yeah.
But I feel like this, you know, and I think I've said it in another podcast, I'm sure the universe pushed me over on my skates. So I slipped my disc to get me into that yoga studio, to then learn about, you know, this is helping my back and this is helping my body, and then this is helping my mind. And it got me through, and I learned how to meditate. And you know, you do kind of have to learn how to meditate. It doesn't come naturally, it's hard. But this all then built up to, I want other people to know that all of these things can help them physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it then kind of opens doors. So just, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my God, I resonate with what they're saying, this is happening to me, just take a moment and think about what lights you up, and think, is there something in your life that you love that makes you feel better, that you can relay that to other people. So yeah,
I just wonder as well,
yeah,
no, the point you made about feeling resentment, I really want to double down on that as well, because that's another feeling that I had. And I think if you're, like you said, if someone is feeling resentment towards a job / or a person, because I want to bring in relationships here as well, if you're feeling resentment towards something, that is a surefire way that you're really not meant to be in that place or with that person. It's a very low vibrational feeling, but it sits with frustration. If you're resenting this and you're feeling frustration about something or someone, it really does mean that you need to change. You need to move that energy. You need to switch that vibration. I really want to say that because I felt the same way. And it's horrible. You don't want to resent a place or a person or a job. You want to leave with gratitude and love and thanks. So it's a definite sign that the universe is saying, okay, why? And also questioning why. You said the same thing. Why am I doing this? What is the point? And when you start to think, what is the point? Amazing. Great. That's a really good place to start. What is the point? Why? And I think this is the biggest question I ask in coaching and finding your purpose. Why are you doing this, and why do you stop want to do something else? Right? You can ask why, that one word, that one question, you can ask it 20 times in a row, and that one person will whittle down, and finally they will come to the deep rooted issue of anything. It's a beautiful question. It's so simple. Why?
Yeah. So we've mentioned soul purpose a few times. What's your definition? It doesn't have to be the definition. What is, so I don't know, people may have seen soul purpose as, because I think, well, I'm in the circles, I follow the Instagram, and you know, I know, but if you're brand new and you're like, what are they talking about? Soul purpose. And we've mentioned Dharma. So what does it mean for someone who may be new to the term?
It really is a very personal understanding of what your soul purpose is. And so my definition could be very different to someone else's. If they're a coach or if they're whoever they are, your soul purpose definition could be very different to mine. from my understanding of how I resonate with soul purpose, simply put, is just being you. And I know that can be really annoying answer to some people. Get it? Because maybe a few years ago, if I heard that, I'd be like, oh, that's so annoying. That's not helpful. But if we whittle down, just by being you, by shining your light, by showing up as you are living in your soul purpose. Let me caveat this though. Yeah. When we go into coaching and we go into understanding yourself deeper, then you understand just by being you, how you can show up as your soul purpose. What I want to say is though, what your soul purpose is not, just to make it simple, it's not external. It's not you finding a new job. So for example, it's not me leaving cabin crew and becoming something else. And now I found my soul purpose, which is what I thought it was, right? I thought, oh, let me leave cabin crew and find my purpose in something else. But by going through that journey, I understood it's not actually finding it externally in another career or in another place or in another relationship. Actually, by finding your soul purpose, it's discovering yourself. It's by understanding what lights you up. So your soul purpose can be anything. For me, if I talk about how I understand my soul purpose, it's by helping others. It's I light up when I'm surrounded by people, where I can inspire people, where I can help people, where I'm in a room where I feel lit up. I can be in a room just doing anything, but being in the right place, feeling inspired by other people, then other people can be inspired by me. And that doesn't mean I have to do or be anything. It's just by being there. It's just by standing in my soul purpose. And I hope that makes sense. I'm not sure it does.
Yeah, that does. So your soul purpose doesn't have to be, when people talk about, you don't have to go and, obviously it's amazing if your soul purpose can also be your job, but you can have a job, you need to enjoy your job, and that might have elements of your soul purpose, but your soul purpose can be something, it's not a label. Your soul purpose doesn't have to be your job. So when I was teaching, I used to think that I was put on this earth to teach and educate, and I still think there's an element of that, but it doesn't mean that I need to be a school teacher. I can still teach and share through yoga, but it doesn't mean I need to teach yoga. I think for me, it's more, I feel like my soul purpose is to teach a feeling and to show people, not just women. I tend to mention women a lot because I work with women, but just to show people how great they can be and how great life can be. And whether that comes under being a teacher, then, so be it, if that's the label. But I have kind of the same, I thought, I want to teach, I'm here to teach. And even when I started yoga teaching, I'm still a teacher, but now I'm just teaching something else, but now completely let go of that. And my jobs do align with that, but I just think it's more for me about raising people up, raising a frequency, raising a vibration. And I could still do that if I was stayed in school. So it doesn't mean that you have to go away, quit your job, but find something at work where, if you feel that your purpose is to help, and you work in, I don't know, you might be listening to this and work in a call center. And yes, you're helping customers on the other end of the phone, but you might still have that resentment of, oh, it's just a phone, it's just this. Because talking from experience as well, this is how I used to work in a call center. And I just, I get thinking like, oh, for God's sake, it's just your phone's not working. And I began to resent it. But if I was talking to my younger self in that call center, now I would maybe ask if I could maybe put some well-being events on for the staff. And that would be my sole purpose within the job that I had, which would probably help me not resent the job so much, because I'm helping other people there. You know, it could have been, I don't know if I didn't have these skills back then. But you know, yeah, meditation, or you know, like after a late shift, let's get together, meditate, some sound healing. That would be how I would use it. So it doesn't mean you've got to quit your job. It just means have a think about, you know, what you feel. And a lot of women, I think, might say their sole purpose is to be a mother, which is amazing. But I do, and I don't know if you agree, there's still a lot more to that. Like, what as a mother? What are you offering as a mother? I'm guessing you've probably worked with mums as well that would say, yeah, mother. But I think, no, there's a lot more. You know, yes, being a mother is probably one. I'm not one. I'm a dog mom, and yes, it's very rewarding. But I think, but what element of being a mother? Because there's so many elements that, you know, is it the picking up dirty clothes on the floor? I'm sure that's not your purpose. So think about, I don't know if you resonate, if you agree with that, but if there's people listening thinking, no, I'm a mother, but what lights you up, and how can you take that to everywhere? Take it to your office, your place of work, wherever you work. Where can you take those elements of being a mother that really light you up?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the word that springs to mind when a woman says, I want to be a mother, or my purpose is to be a mother, I tend to ask, okay, is it because you want to be nurturing? And I think the word nurturer really is more of an essence of being a mother. So you nurture your dog babies, right? You nurture them, you look after them. Mothers, women, we innately want to help others. I think that really is part of our feminine energy, to care, to look after other people, to think about a community. Because, you know, back in the day, we really were part of a community where we nurtured each other. The hunter-gatherers, they went off and they provided, but we looked after the family unit at home. And that hasn't left us. So as a nurturer, that really is part of our soul as a feminine being, I believe, personally. So I think that's where we can understand where we want to become mothers, or where women want to be a mother, is because they've got that nurturing element quite strongly in them. But it's really important to question, why do you want to be a mother? Like you just said, why? That is the deepest question. Because do we really want to be wiping poop? Is that really the beautiful thing? It might be beautiful because you're connecting. I'm not going to say anything about that at all. But it's interesting, motherhood has come up quite a lot recently, where I've had conversations with women and they're saying, now it's time to be a mother. And I say, why? Why? Is it because of this societal pressures that we reach a certain age and now we're forced into becoming this next stage? Okay, we've got the relationship, we've got the house, now we have to be the mother because that's what society tells us to do and be. But why? Is that what you really want? Or is that because you see everyone else around you doing it, therefore you must do it as well? This can be quite controversial, I must say, but I don't think it's an easy conversation to have. But I am having these conversations so much recently. I need to talk about it now because you've literally brought it up as a mother as well. So it's all in divine timing that we talk about this. I'm very much, I don't want to follow, and I haven't followed societal structures. I haven't. And my family, we just laugh about it because I do my own thing. I am my own free spirit. I am my own person. And I want your listeners to be able to feel empowered to do and be the same. If you're feeling frustrated because you think you've reached a point where you need to reach that milestone because that's what society says, ask yourself why. Are you doing it because you deeply, truly, soulfully want to do it? Or is it because you're feeling pressured into doing it? The same with marriage. Do you want to do it because it's a milestone and you feel you have to? Or are you doing it because you want to share that commitment and love for that other person and show that commitment in that way? I want people to really question why, because I don't want people to make mistakes further down the line, regret it, have that resentment, and then and then we spiral into that moment. This is why I bring it up now, because if it's not part of your purpose, I don't want people to go running into this trajectory, this societal pressure that people, or that we're putting on ourselves, when actually we don't need to. Let's free ourselves from that. Let's think outside the box. And I really want that. And I talk about that in my coaching a lot. Feel outside the box. Why are you doing it? Why do you want that relationship? Are you doing it because you're lonely, or is it because you feel worthy, that you are worthy of sharing your love and receiving love? That's really important. I probably went off a tangent there, but we started about motherhood.
Yeah.
That's what we do in our coaching, just literally go deep. So yeah.
But that's it. It's going with the flow. It's the feminine energy. And that's what I want my podcasts to be, because this is how women talk, and it's natural. And we go off on tangents, so it's natural. But I totally get everything that you've just said as well, especially with the baby thing. And I actually recorded a solo podcast the other day. I don't know if this will come out, the timing, whether it would be before or after, but you can go and find it and see if it's there yet. If not, it's coming. Child free by choice, because I do feel like this is a thing at the moment. So I am child free by choice, and most of my friends are amazing mothers. But like you said, I've never had that feeling of my purpose I've never had it. And, if one day suddenly that changes, then, maybe I'll think about it. But right now I've made the choice because I just don't have that drive, that purpose. And I feel like you've just said, I feel like, and then, I've been called selfish by people for not wanting to have a baby. But what I think would be more selfish is to have one and resent the baby, because I feel that without even having it, I already resent it.
Interesting. Okay.
Like I already have that feeling of, I can see, and it probably wouldn't be that way. Like I don't resent the dogs, but the dogs aren't humans. They don't take as much care. And me and my partner were talking. I don't know if you've seen on Instagram or the socials at the moment, there's people that call themselves dinks, and then you also have a dinkwad. So a dink is a dual income, no kids, so DIA, and then a dinkwad is with a dog on the end.
I love this.
So, and I think this is why it's must be coming up on my algorithm, and why I did the podcast the other day. But I actually Googled dink. No, I didn't Google. He sent me the story of why this dinkwad is a thing, dual income. People are choosing not to have children, but they are then nurturing. So just going back to the nurturing their dogs like children. And it's just a modern day, I don't think they use the word phenomenon, but I feel like I'm going to throw it in there, that there's lots of adults choosing not to have children. They're choosing dogs instead. So we still nurture, and as a couple, we still have that nurturing gene, I guess, but not for children. It's for dogs, and it's a whole thing. It's a dink, and he said something else there. A dinkwad.
So close.
Yeah. But again, so listeners, I know a lot of people listening have children, and amazing. Like you would have had that call, and you're following your purpose there. Yeah. You're listening to your soul. It would have been soulfully aligned. Otherwise, you wouldn't have. Like I believe that the babies come when it's ready. It's your time, and if I miraculously get pregnant somehow, I will take that as there you go. This is your baby. That's how I would see it. So it's your soul purpose. The baby comes, that's your baby. But as a mother, thinking about what it is that you love about being a mother, and then that could be your soul purpose. And where can you ingrain that throughout your day? Because you will find that you'll start to have happy days without sounding too cheesy. But yeah, I don't know if I'm sure that comes up as well in your sessions. Yeah. So I know we've probably spoken about a lot here. So if there's one piece of advice or a tip or anything that comes up for you as a pattern with your clients that you would like to share, that you think could listeners could resonate? What would you like to share? One hint, tip? What's the main thing that comes up for you?
Okay, we'll break this down. The main topics that come up for a lot of clients with me, we talk a lot about relationships. We talk a lot about lack of self-worth in yourself and in relationships. So I don't know whether your listeners resonate with this. A lot of clients feel lost. They aren't sure really who they are. And so they lose themselves in relationships because they don't have this self-value. They don't value themselves. And so they tend to, they lose themselves in relationships, and they tend to rely on the other person for friends and social activities, and not really having that for themselves. So in order to improve your self-worth, improve or increase your value, to know your value, to really understand yourself better, ergo to find your purpose, let's say, I would really encourage my clients and your listeners to get curious. And this word has been really important to me, and I say this to all my clients, and I really want to drum it home to your listeners. Get curious about your own life. Get curious what lights you up. For example, what did you used to do as a child that you loved? Did you used to love dancing in the garden? Then why not try go to some dancing classes, go to salsa classes, or just go out with your friends and go dancing. Whatever fills up your inner child, whatever makes you feel that you come alive, is really part of you opening up your soul to things that you enjoy. And I want you to really understand that it's something so small. These tips are really so small. Do something that lights you up, that you can do with your friends, you can do at home, that really helps you on these stepping stones to finding your purpose, your soul, to really open up your soul. And it's really about having a connection, or let's say a channel. I say here, but it can be with your higher self, with your soul, and with source. Really, really hone in and close that connection so that you can listen to yourself better. And when you value yourself more and you know your self-worth more, then you can show up really confidently in yourself, in relationships, in your job, in every area of your life. But it starts with you. So what I want to say, what did you used to do as a child that you loved? Maybe it was writing or reading. Then do that. Just find time in your day to sit alone with your cat or your dog and read. But make it a moment. Make it a moment. Make it a ritual. Make it cute. Put candles on. Put fairy lights on, or whatever. Make it a real thing. So you're really you're creating a habit and a ritual, and so your body can really feel into that curiosity. Okay, so get curious. Get curious with yourself, with your life, and also have compassion. Have compassion for yourself. This comes up a lot with my clients, and I want to really reiterate that with your listeners. Have compassion for yourself on this self-healing journey. It's not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. You know that, and I know that. And have patience with yourself, but really compassion, forgiveness for yourself, and forgiveness for others, because you only do better when you know better. And I think that's become really important. We keep evolving and we keep learning. And we can only do better when we've really understood our lessons, we've learned our lessons. We've said no thank you to that relationship. We've said no thank you to that job, but don't repeat the pattern. Forgive yourself, move on, have compassion, and then say, okay, how do I raise my vibration? What's the next step? I think those are the things that come up a lot with coaching that I want to share with with your listeners here.
Perfect. So curiosity, compassion, forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And I would love if, when you listen to this, I'm going to put Michelle's links all in the show notes. And yeah, if you feel called to, if you go away after you've listened to this and get curious, then let us know. Tag us, share, or just drop one of us a message and just say, I went to climb a tree this weekend, or whatever it is that, you know, lights you up. Let us know, because that lights us up. I'm answering on behalf of you, but I know that you, I love when people message me, and that's when I'm like, oh, this is why I do it. This is why it lights me up. And I always say it on my podcasts and on my reels. I don't care about views, followers. If one person messages, or even doesn't message, but does something different and makes a change or feels better, then that's all I want. And I know you're the same. So yes, and on that note, I think, thank you very much. Like I said, all Michelle's details will be in the show notes. Reach out to her if you'd like to work with her. Head to her website. I'll link everything for everybody. And yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so good. I love chatting with you, always.
Yeah. And this is how, just before we do end, this is how we do talk a lot of the time. When I go for Reiki, I'm like, right, we need to go at this time. I'm like, just
an hour later, we're still chatting.
Yeah, an hour later, we're still there. But yeah, thank you. And keep your eyes peeled for solo podcast after this, guys. And thank you all for listening.
And that's it today, everybody. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again next week. Don't forget, 5 stars, download, tell your friends. You're amazing.